Okay, there I go again. We'll talk about Italia. I split it up into two playings for the two scenarios. Mainly, to give an overall impression from a couple different perspectives. One is, let's assume you're a Britannia player already, or you've played others of the series. I think this is the weakest in the series that I've seen. And it's a series that I'm not terribly a fan of, to tell you the truth. I have some very, very good memories of playing Britannia, but it's also kind of a headache to keep track of where you have to be at any given time and where everyone else has to be. This game, I think, has too many little exceptions and special rules in it compared to Britannia to really fit into the comfort zone for someone who's really happy with that. Usually, the people I know who liked Britannia liked it because it was fairly simple. You could pick up your card, see what you need to do, and just go do it. And as you became aware of the game more and more, you became better at predicting what other people would do, but you didn't have to remember a lot of special rules. Sure, the Romans have theirs. Now and then there's a major campaign, but there's or a major invasion, but there's so many little things in this. And that's the Hispania flavor. Hispania has that too. However, this one I don't think does it as well as Hispania. They're just, Hispania is such a broken game that it's hard to say it's better than this. But I have more fun playing Hispania than I do playing Italia. Now, that may change. When I first played Hispania, I said, why did I buy this? It's not just another Britannia, which I had problems with, but it's this horribly over-complex, like too many special cases, etc. One thing that I really did not like in Italia, however, which Hispania even has, is there's no population limit. You have your countermix. What I mean is, in the Britannia-based games, normally, okay, you have your stacking limit. That's the maximum number of pieces you can have in an area at the end of a turn, or at the end of a move, or whatever. But there's also you have to have so many areas to support X amount of people. That doesn't exist in this. And in terms of play, that means that powers don't have to spread out as much. It means that you can concentrate on holding a couple key and valuable areas. The fact that the most defensible areas are just as valuable as the lowland areas, I think also hurts play a little bit. One nice thing in Britannia, and to some extent in Hispania, is if you had good terrain for defense, you probably didn't have a lot of production coming out of that area. I don't like the two scenario split that much, although I think it makes sense in this particular instance because Rome just was Rome during that whole time. You're not going to simulate, I think, the civil wars very well in between the two scenarios. So I think that's a reasonable decision, even if I would rather there be one grand campaign. Usually I can understand why it's there. I don't like that it is a 3-player game in one scenario, a 4-player game in the other, and that's it. You don't have the option to change the numbers of play. Now, to be fair, in Britannia, we would only play with 4 players. Any other number just didn't make a lot of sense because it's nice to have all the colors match. So maybe it's not that big a setback. One thing that's missing from Hispania that I really liked was the concept of bidding for powers. But this is where Hispania is most broken. Bidding for powers is great and all. Unfortunately, there was a minimum bid, and some of the powers had trouble making that minimum bid at any time in my plays. So as a player, in the situation I'm used to, I want to bid less than I'm allowed to. There's also some restrictions that allow people to get things very, very cheaply just because no one else is allowed to bid on them. So maybe that's not that big harsh to be without, but I found that one of the kind of cute things that keeps me playing Hispania that may not with this. Balance, I can't tell you a thing about it. I play Britannia and can tell you what I think there, and it goes very much against received wisdom. With this, I've played it once. I can't tell you that the sides that I won with have any advantage at all. I would guess that it's probably not too unbalanced. Especially that second scenario felt like probably players who kind of know what they're doing would get a much closer game than I got. The first scenario, I'm a little fuzzy about in terms of remembering, but it felt as though it might take a long time to figure out how to balance the game, even in a group of experienced players. Now, let's look at it for, this is your first foray into the system. Here I'm not so sure you're going to be as disappointed, to tell you the truth. If you haven't played Britannia, you may not be expecting that level of simplicity. You may not be bothered by the places where it diverges heavily from the rules and from the prior game. And it's got some interesting little aspects. So I would suggest, if you were going for a first time, that Britannia is probably a better game to begin with, just because it has this elegance and simplicity. I don't feel like you gain a lot of... no game in this system is going to be this great historical simulation. So what else is there? Well, Britannia is a good, solid game. There's no question about that. It's got a long history of being played and liked by certain crowds. This, I don't think, has that history, and I can't say enough about it now to say whether it would deserve it. But I think you're not getting much more in terms of decisions, in terms of playability, etc. I don't think you're getting anything added for the complexity in this one. That's the problem that I'm seeing. You're getting the same kind of game, and it might be kind of exciting to people who like the system to pick this up, but I think the negatives for it will drive that decision to say, I'd rather play a different game in this series than this one more often. Components are really nice, but beyond that, I just don't think it's. I don't think it's up to par with the original at all. And then I looked at the Indian one. I played that once, Maharaja or whatever, and that looked pretty solid too. That looked more solid than this. And if you really want to go crazy and push the system to, well, I think only I would like Hispania. And I don't even think I like it. When I opened it up, I didn't like it. I'm not thrilled with the rules. I think it's a broken game, but something brings me back to playing it again and again. I'll get it on the table at some point to show you guys just what's so broken about it.